So I hope that we've got a nice little drink to accompany us and a nice little snack ready to go, because we're going to deep dive into one of the most underrated series I personally think there is currently. With the rise of BookTok, you saw a lot more people like Sarah J Maas rise in popularity. When you get some authors who have got books which are published long ago, sort of skirting under the radar, at least in my opinion. So today we're going to be talking about Red Rising by Pierce Brown, which is honestly so iconic. It very much gives sort of Divergent, Hunger Games. It's very much in that sort of niche. It's very sort of fantasy, dystopian, like corrupt government, that sort of esque. So we're gonna have a little deep dive. I'm only gonna go into book one because it is like 5 books, if not more. No, it's definitely more series long. So we start off. We've got our main character Darrow, our main man, and I cannot emphasize this enough. The first few chapters, my god, it's kind of mind numbing. It's a slow burner. Like your first few chapters, they do take a while to get into. They are very slow. It takes a while, so please do bear with them because I promise you the series is so good. But no, so your first chapter you get introduced to Darrow, what his whole life's about, how he's, basically just a poor slave. Oh yeah, he lives on Mars, by the way. One of the big things of this series is like they've basically conquered the whole solar system. But Darrow doesn't know this. Not yet anyway. So he's a poor slaver working in the mines, and in his little mining colony, you've got 12 different little factions, little clans, and every month there's basically like a competition for whoever gets like the highest mining score. They get nicer food, they get medicine, they get like alcohol, they get to live a little. And every month the same clan always wins. It's rigged. Darrow's never gonna win. But he's got it in his poor little heart that he's got this, he can win. So your first chapter is basically just him being in his little fright, and I can't emphasize enough how unhinged the first chapter is. So he's in his little like mech suit, sweating, dying. He's like, oh my god, the sweat, I'm so hot. I've pissed myself in my suit, but I'm just so used to it. Like, it's like, come on now. Like, put it this way, that the first few chapters you can tell it's very much written by a man. Not in a bad way, but just why are we talking about you pissing yourself in the first chapter? What's going on? But I promise you the rest of the series is not like that. It really gets so good. But no, so allow the first chapter, and he's basically like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got no dad. My dad was a rebel, he got killed. So again, they kind of know, well, we don't know their slaves, but they know there's people above them who are richer. So they've been basically sold this whole idea that they're pioneers, that Earth is dying, and the only way to survive is to colonize Mars, basically. So they think they're doing a really good things. These poor slaves, they really think they're doing well for the world. So they're all working away, and obviously Darrow loses the laurel, naturally. And also he's got a wife, so he's 16. So each book he does sort of age up quite a bit, but in the first book he's 16. He's got his wife, which, can I just say the name? Why? Her name is Io. Like Eo. Eo. No love lost for Io, to be honest. Like, you meet her and within like 4 chapters, she's dead instantly. Like, it doesn't take long for her to get killed, put it that way. So she gets killed because she takes Darrow to this like secret garden which no one's meant to know it exists. Because obviously their whole thing is, oh no, there's no plants on Mars, so we can't breathe, blah blah blah. But obviously there's already trees. There has been for years. So they go there, and Darrow's all like, oh wow, this is wild, but you're not going to catch me rebelling because my dad got murdered for that. So I'm going to be a good boy and carry on mining. And Neo's all like, oh, can't you just be better? Can't you just rebel like me? Like, she's kind of annoying, I can't lie. When she died, I was like, unnecessary, but good. She was annoying. So anyway, she gets killed because once they get arrested, so they get arrested by these things called greys. I will insert like a little chart here. There is like a big colour system. Red's being the lowest. Greys are basically the police of the society. So anyway, you've got like one grey who's called Ugly Dan. Like, what a name. Ugly Dan. You know this man must be looking feral. So anyway, Ugly Dan arrests them, and the Arch-Governor of Mars is in town. Don't remember why, but he's in town. He's here. He's here to stay for a little bit. And he's all like, oh, why are these kids arrested for? Like, put them on trial. So let me just emphasize, Io could have walked out alive. She could have walked out, and this isn't even a spoiler, this happens like in the first 6 chapters. She could have walked out alive. But did she? No, because what did she do? The Rebel song. And this whole song is basically says like, oh, when the Reaper comes, he'll break the chains and all the slaves will be free. But it's quite a harrowing song, honestly. Like, if you do this book on Audible, which I personally did do, my god, I had chills when this song was being sung. I was like, oh my god, the Reaper's gonna kill us all, what? So yeah, that's a bit of that. So she gets killed. Oh yeah, also another little thing, which we can't not insert in here. So when Darrow's in the mines, he's got this little weapon called a sling blade, and he was always taught that if he ever gets like a limb sort of trapped, you know, you don't want to die, chop off your limb. So that sling blade was there to chop off limb to survive. But yeah, anyway, so there's that. That's just a key information for later. So anyway, Io gets killed for singing this little song, and Darrow's like, oh, life's not worth living anymore. Like, let me go die. So he talks to his uncle Neril, being like, oh, you know, my dad's dead, my wife's dead, everyone's dead, apart from you, but I don't want to be alive. So he basically says his whole plan to Neril, how he's going to go to the graves and get himself murdered. Neril's like, none of that. So, nice little Uncle Neril drugs up main man Darrow, drugs him up, and then ships him off out the mine colony. Don't know how he had those connections, but off he goes. And then when he wakes up, he's like, oh, I'm alive? What's going on here? So he meets Dancer. So we're on like chapter 7 here now. So Dancer is another red as well, but Dancer's a bit more knowledgeable about life. So most reds, they sort of kick the bucket at the age of 30. Like, they do not live long, because again, they're miners and slavers, they're not gonna. But Dancer's like 50. So Dancer's like, I've got a secret. And Darrow's like, what? What's the secret? And Dancer reveals that Mars has not only been terraformed, it's been that way for about 700 years. They've been lied to. So Darrow's like, oh great, seriously, what's left to live for? So Dancer informs him that there's this surgery they can do on poor little Darrow. And bear in mind, reds are like humans. They're like very normal, run-of-the-mill average humans. And golds, again, insert colour chart, are like the top, the pinnacle of all of society, all of humanity. They're meant to be like 7 foot tall. They don't have pores. Their skin is so clean. They're meant to have like really dense bones, so like nothing can break their bones. Like, basically just invincible. They're meant to be like the closest humanity can get to being a god, essentially. And Dancer says that, like, hey Darrow, we can make you into one of these. Dangerous surgery though. And Darrow's like, oh, I like the sound of that. How many people has survived? And Dancer's like, oh, well, no one survived. And Darrow's like, how many people have you done this to? I was like, about 100. Not one survived. Darrow hears that and goes, I like them odds. Which, personally, if I heard that like 100 people have done a surgery and not one survived, I don't think I'd be running to get it. Like, what was he thinking? I do not know. Beyond me. But anyway, he gets to meet this plastic surgeon called Mickey, who's a violet. Again, just a plastic surgeon, basically. Who's a bit morally ambiguous, shall we say. And Mickey's all like, oh, well, what's in it for me? And Mickey's all like, oh, well, if you do it for me, I won't tell the police that you're a slaver. So Mickey do be selling people on the black market. So not the best of guys when we're first introduced to him. He's a little bit of a dickhead when we first meet him. But he has some redemption. But anyway, so he cuts up Darrow, and he had like a whole arc of him getting all chopped up, made into a gold. So he gets like all his skin removed, all of his hair removed, all his eyeballs get pulled out, new eyeballs. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And like this whole time, Mickey's there calling him like a ruster, which is like a derogatory term for a red. Like, oh, you're such a ruster, you are. But they become a bit wholesome, I won't lie. But again, we're still at the slow part, so you must bear with this. It's good, but slow start. But they have a little training arc, and Darrow is, you know, after his recovered and can move and walk again from a major surgery, which he survived. And the whole reason he survived was put down to the fact that when he was a kid, he was bitten by like a pit viper, so basically like a poison snake, which you're meant to die from, but he survived, so therefore he's got a really strong heart. But yeah, anyways, so he has a little training arc with, so Dancer, which is your rebel guy, a woman called Harmony, who basically is like, fight, this is how you fight here now, because obviously Darrow doesn't know how to fight because he's just a minor. And then you have Mateo, who is not a red like everyone else, he's a pink. Now, pinks are basically prostitutes, glorified sex slaves, basically. Now, Mateo, actually, like, remember him because he actually is a bit important, not in book 1, but you do see him in later books. But Mateo basically trains him on like how to act and talk like a gold, how to like speak, what phrases to say, what phrases to avoid, like a key phrase, which like Reds always say is like a swear word. They always go bloody damn. Like that's really the crux of being a Red, is saying that. Whereas Gold, they don't say that, they say gory damn, which a small difference, but if he was to say bloody damn in Gold society, like Red. So Mateo basically teaches him on like Gold slang and just how to fit in with like high society. So then after all of that, they basically ship him off and go like, hey, good luck to you. Like, you infiltrate the Gold society, but we can't have any contact, otherwise they'll find us out. And their little rebellion does have a little name, the Sons of Ares, which I must say, I quite like that. I thought that was quite cute, especially because throughout the whole series they have quite a go at like Roman mythology, and with them using the Greek, I think it's a nice little contrast. But anyway, so Dancer basically kicks him out and he's like, good luck on your own. Good luck in Gold Society. So Darrow said, oh yeah, they also gave Darrow a whole new identity as well. He got to keep his first name, but they both had to give him a whole backstory that he was like, his Gold parents were like killed in some space shuttle war or whatever. Anyway, he's got a new name. This is the point. He's got a new identity. He has these new sigils. So every sort of colour has like a little circle sort of on both their wrists, like of a red sigil and up the mark. So he had to get gold sigils basically to pass the identity checks and all of that. So anyway, no more contact with the rebellion. He's on his own. He meets some gold and he's like, oh, I don't like these people. There are little overlords, but I gotta make me some friends. So you meet a few characters. I won't go into all of them because you do meet quite a few, but your main ones you sort of meet Cassius Albellona. Like, that's how they say all the gold names. You got like first name Al, last name, which is, I kind of like it. So you got Cassius Albellona, and then you also got Julian Albellona, which is Cassius's like younger brother, and you've also got Antonia What was her last name? I think it was Julii. It was Severus Julii. So you meet those ones where like the first interaction with Antonia is her basically just making fun of Darrow, being all like, oh, you're such a pixie, you can't even ride a horse. Because apparently all golds can ride horses, but Darrow can't. So yeah, even amongst golds there's like derogatory terms. So you've got your golds, who are like the normal term. You got your pixies, which are basically spoilt golds. You got bronzes, which are ugly golds, sort of thing, and then your iron golds, who are the best of all the golds. So anyway, he gets called a pixie. So Darrow cannot escape these derogatory slurs wherever he goes, whether he's a ruster or a pixie. He's not doing too well. Well, at least he's not being called ugly. He's not winning. Anyway, is my point. So his first interaction with Antonia isn't good. But when he meets Cassius, he's like, ooh, this is a man. This is a man I need to be friends with. He is powerful. So he sort of tries to get in with Cassius. Cassius starts to like him. It's cute. And then he has to basically enroll in this thing called the Institute, which is the gold school. And his whole thing is, oh, I really need to get into this school because then I can infiltrate from within and all of that, and then further the rebellion. So he does all these tests, passes all these tests, until the last test. The last test being insane, because the last test was basically he got kidnapped, was put in another room with Julian, with Cassius's younger brother, and he's all like, hey, only one of you can walk out of here alive, is what the teacher said. So it's like, either you both die, like, or, you know, you kill the other one and you go to the Institute. And then Julian is really innocent. For a gold, he's really cute, he's quite sheltered, like, he's the doted on younger brother. And of course Darrow gets to like him because he's like, oh wow, not this was his like awakening of, oh wow, not all golds are evil, Julian's sweet. He has to kill Julian, and Julian's like, no, Darrow, like, I can't kill you, Darrow, but please don't kill me, I really need this, like, my family's really powerful, and if I don't do this, my family won't love me. And Darrow's like, that's unfortunate. Kills him. Which, can I say, when that happened, I wasn't shocked at Eo's death in the start, because, ugh, but Julian's death? What? Honestly, it was so unhinged and unnecessary. But anyway, after he kills him, he goes back to this, like, little canteen where all the people who passed the trial were all there, all met up, and everyone's there gossiping, being like, who did you kill? Who did you murder? Like, they're all real proud of themselves for having their first murder. Because for them, it's like a mark of being an adult gold is getting your first kill. So they're all boasting, all happy, and then all the while, because, you know, they're all slowly trickling in after the test, so not all of them are there yet. And Cassius is there being like, oh, I had a really easy kill, I just snapped his neck. Darrow, who did you kill? So naturally Darrow's like, I'm not saying. Like, so he's not saying. Like, but he's not the only one, a few people aren't saying. But as everyone's sort of here, Cassius is like, oh, where the fuck is Julian? Where's my man Julian? Getting panicky up in here. So he's shouting to everyone, being like, who killed my brother? And then this one guy, acting real sus, is like, I'm not telling you who I killed. Even though it wasn't him, he's put the mark on his head. So Darrow's like, yeah, let's let Cassius think he's the one who did it. I'm not owning up to that. Which honestly valid, because if you just killed someone's brother, are you about to own up to it? I don't think so. So Cassius is out here just like accusing everyone left, right, and centre, and Darrow's just playing dumb. It's just all unfortunate, to be honest. And then they find out as well that, like, the person who was top of the class before the test actually lost his test, and he was apparently paired up with, like, the weakest student, who you don't find out who's killed him for quite a while. But it's, you know, one on about, oh, a random student killed him. How did this happen? How did Primus die? So yeah, that's the whole thing. And then once we've obviously all had this conversation, they get divided up into groups. And again, this is the most Hunger Games-esque thing ever. It's literally like deathmatch. So they get divided into their Roman groups. So you got like House Mars, House Minerva, Diana, Juno, Jupiter, like all of that, right? So they've got divided into their little houses. And of course, Antonia, Cassius, Darrow are all on the same little team. So they get transported into this new little landscape, which is like, you know, nothing else is there, and they get basically told, like, this is your home base. So all of House Mars, they get like in a castle, and then all of the houses are put elsewhere, but no one knows where each other's bases are. And they do have their own like little teacher, their like little, let's say a personal tutor, shall we say, called Fitchner. Little Fitchner. He could have done so much more, but a little soft spot for Fitchner. So Fitchner is there, he lays down the law, he explains to him what's what, says to him, like, hey, like, don't go pubsy killing someone, but, like, do batter them. Do that. I mean, if you do that, Medbot will save their lives. And here and there you see little bits of Fitchner in key moments. But anyway, so they're left to their own devices, and they're all sort of trying to plan how to take over the other houses, because that's the objective, you know, conquer all the houses, you win. And in their little castle, you've got Cassius, Antonia, Darrow, and this other guy called Tactus, and Tactus. And they're all basically vying for power to be the head honcho of House Mars. And it actually ends up being Tactus, so not any of the main three. And very, very quickly it devolves into just plain debauchery, to be honest. And Tactus is just unhinged. Like, he's a menace. He's an absolute menace. He ends up just going around just like raping people for the crack. Like, honestly, crazy guy. So your main man Darrow and Cassius, they're like, oh, I don't want to be friends with a rapist. So they escape. They're like, I'm out of here, I'm gone. So they leave and they take like a few little odds and sods with them, a few little randomers with them, and they sort of stay up like shack in this shed. So they're all bonding, it's all cute. Antonia's not with them, she's like skedaddling, doing her own thing, being a menace to society. And there's also this character called Severo Albarca, which I will put an image of him here, which there's like a lot of fan art about Severo, which like pop off. But Severo's introduction is kind of like wild. So he's sort of out in the bushes doing his own thing. And one thing about this book is it's actually quite funny. It has quite a comedic side. And when Severo like comes over to them eventually, they're all sort of like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he like explains what he was doing. He's like, "Oh, well, what did you think I was doing, wanking up in the bushes?" And then they're like, "Yeah, that is kind of what we thought you were doing, to be fair. Like, you're a goblin." And they all call, for no reason other than that Severo's a bit of a short king, they call him Goblin. And bear in mind, the average gold is like 7 foot. Severo's not small, he's like 6 foot, but they still call him Goblin. Like, this poor man. Anyway, justice for Severo. So he's doing his thing. Severo's now part of the little crew. And one thing as well, each house has like a little sigil, shall we say, like a symbol or something. It's like a little thing they can use to enslave someone from another house. So it's like if they get a house member from elsewhere, touch a thing on their head and go, "You're one of us now." And then suddenly they're meant to be a slave, basically. And if they don't comply within the rules of being a slave in the game, they get like dishonoured and they don't get to get a good job when they're older. So they must be a slave if enslaved. So anyway, the slave maker tool is with Tactus, the bad guy, the rapist of House Mars. So they do not have their little sigil. It's not going too good. But anyway, your main man Darrow and that. Oh, there's also a guy called Roke who's like a pacifist, and he just be like, "Oh, I'm a poet." Darrow makes friends with him, even though he's a fucking loser. But yeah, anyway, so the gang, the main gang, are like, "Oh, let me go conquer people." So they did that for a while. It was working for a while. They conquered a few bits and pieces, a few places, and I can't even remember. For some reason, they did lose at some point or another. Like, oh no, this is why. Yeah, I remember. So after they conquered somewhere, Fitchner had a little meeting with Darrow. Fitchner be the teacher, and was all like, "Oh, just so you know, this game is rigged. There's a man in the north called the Jackal, and he's gonna win because he's the arch governor of Mars's son." So remember the guy who had Io murdered? Yeah, his son. So his son was, it's basically rigged that he's gonna win. So I was like, "Oh fuck, like, how do I win then?" And Fitchner's like, "Right, you don't, like, do well, but you're not winning, son." And anyway, Darrow's a little bit miffed about this, but he's still trying his best. And then he makes like a whole plan to go conquer a house, and it was really successful. But then Antonia, remember her? She cooked together a little plan to try to take over House Mars because she wants all the success. And remember Roke, the annoying poet? Yeah, she just murders his girlfriend. Like, so just like they're in the woods, and yeah, she murders his girlfriend. Darrow watches it happen, does nothing about it because he's like, "Oh shit, at number 10-1, not my fight, not my problem." So yeah, it's a bit yikes. And then somehow Cassius then finds out that who murdered Julian? It was Darrow. So yeah, Cassius finds it out and he's like, "Stab, stab." Stabs him in the forest, leaves him for dead, and jets off, does his thing, and he takes over House Mars. So at this point, Darrow's like, "Boo hoo, all my friends have left me, like, I'm dying, I'm dead." Which was honestly just so dark, like, it was so unnecessary. Like, when Cassius, bear in mind, just before Cassius did that, before Cassius found out about Darrow murdering his brother, there was just like a whole scene where Cassius was like, "Oh, you're my brother, we are brothers in arms, I love you like a brother." So yeah, that was dark. But then, guess who finds him? Mustang, who I haven't really introduced yet, but she was sort of like trickled in here and there throughout it. She was of House Minerva, which is basically like Athena. So she was like the head of that house, and for some reason or another, I think it was Darrow's fault why she got kicked out of her house. It wasn't too good. I think all of her house got enslaved, actually. Either way, she's down and out on her luck. She finds Darrow, takes pity on him, heals him, stays with him for all the sickness. Now, Mustang has the sigil of House Minerva, so she has the little thing which enslaves people. And now, if your house gets all enslaved and your sigil gets stolen, your house loses. Like, you're done. But all of her house has been enslaved bar her. She's got the sigil. Now, Darrow's problem is he has no sigil, but his house is still alive. So anyway, him and Mustang partner up, and he's all like, well, if we use your sigil, we can enslave people, and I can eventually get my house back. Like, let's team up. We can both heal our houses. So Mustang's like, yeah, let's do it. And the thing is now, is Darrow starts to fall in love with Mustang, because when he was ill, what song did she sing? EO's song. So EO's song somehow went viral, and Darrow had no idea it went viral. Like, they have this very high-tech version of the internet sort of thing. So she's there singing the little song, and he's like, where did you hear that? And she's like, what? You mean the song of Persephone? Persephone? And he's like, he can't give away that he knows EO. So he's like, oh, is that what they call it? I don't know. Even though he finishes the song. Yeah, that's a whole other matter. So anyway, he teams up with Mustang. They're trying to take over. So they're there in their death match. You know, they win some battles. Like, they do have some good fight scenes, to be fair. And eventually, like, he gets most of his friends back, apart from Cassius. Severo eventually joins back in. And they then have this little gang called the Howlers. And for warmth, because they end up going to the north, which is like all icy, they basically end up having wolf skins, like actual wolf skins, and just like living in them. So they have this whole nickname of being the Howlers from then on out. And there's also this guy called Pax Al Talamanus, who is a big, strong, manly man, like biggest one of them all, who ends up following like Darrow. And then there's this whole scene when Darrow is basically taking everywhere over and goes, why do you follow me? Like, you don't follow me because I'm the smartest. Mustang is. You don't follow me because I'm the strongest. Pax is. But you follow me because you don't know where you're going. But I do. Like, it eats. I will put quotes somewhere. It eats. But yeah, anyway, so he has a little death match, and like many deaths happen. I won't even go into how many people get murdered, because a lot of characters get murked so unnecessarily. But many a death. Anyways, he ends up storming this place. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he does a lot of stuff. And let's just say, at the end of the Institute, after the death match, which I won't give anything away as to what happens at the end of a death match, because some crazy things happening. I don't want to spoil that. But anyway, at the end, he gets told, hey, you can have an apprenticeship with whoever you want. Who do you want to have an apprenticeship with? And you'll never guess who approaches him first. The Arch-Governor of Mars. EO's murderer. So in his like, go into my murderer's house, infiltrate from within. So he agrees to it. But we'll leave it there, because that goes on to book 2, and book 2 is basically him in the Arch-Governor's house, like training and all that sort of crap. Training and plotting. But it gets really good, and then like he sort of, you know, he talks quite a bit more to his teacher Fitch now. You hear a lot more of him, and like Severo, who is honestly the bestest of best friends. He is actually an icon. But no, it's a really great series, Red Rising is, and I hope you've enjoyed the little DL, the little rundown of everything. But yeah, again, that's only book 1 out of many a book. There's like 2 separate trilogies which are complete. Again, I'm on book 5 out of 6 of those. And we're doing a prequel at the moment of like how the Sons of Ares, the rebellion came to be, how it came to start. So I haven't started that yet, but that will be next on the list. But no, I hope you enjoyed this. If you've already done this series before, let me know who you really liked. Let me know who you hated, because believe you and me, there are certain characters who I actively despise. But no, I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one.